It's actually recording. Say good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. So this '07 Subaru Impreza, I'm going inside, and I want you guys, if you look on the screen, please look on the screen. You can see the foot protector protecting the floor. You can see the seat cover, the plastic there. And if you come underneath here, you can see right here the pull. See where I am? There's the steering wheel. Here's the dash. There's the pull for the hood. I'm going to look down here. Can you guys find the diagnostic link connector for the scan tool? It's a little dark, isn't it? There it is right there. See that? That's a 16-pin trapezoid connector. And so you can see where I am. Let me back out. Here's the steering wheel, straight underneath the steering wheel. That's where we're going to plug in the scan tool. There it is. It's a little dark. I should have grabbed a flashlight. This thing's pretty good at auto adjusting the light. This is a Logitech 920 camera, and I'm telling you, because they're amazing. I think they're amazing. It has a microphone in it, so it's actually picking up sound right here. So, Clint, would you hold it for a moment? Yeah. See my recording. Don't do anything weird. So here's the secondary latch. Okay, you guys. Some of you haven't done this before. Most of you have. I know that. But this one has a secondary. They all have secondary latch. This one uses a prop rod. There it is. And they show you that there's a spot right there where it goes in. Okay, some cars have the hood shocks right here. And if you have a car where the hood doesn't want to stay up, we replace those. They're about $18 each. Napa sells them. We replace them all the time. Okay, let's talk about a couple things. First, I said something about safety pulling in. I don't want anybody right in front of the car, but just off to the side. And Jonathan could have stood here and said, hey, Mr. L, go this way, that way. Here's what I'm looking at. Ari, why don't you hold that right? Tighten this up. Just hold that right there. What I'm looking at, this point right there, is the distance between this metal piece and the car. I'd say that's about a foot. And then on the other side, it's almost exactly the same. So I nailed it. You say, well, how did you know how to get it straight, that yellow dish? I've got the car a little bit wonky. It's not perfectly straight, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. But it's about even side to side. That will allow the arms of the rack to reach kind of the same spot on either side. The yellow dish lets me know where I am front to back. Most all cars, if you just put the tire in the yellow dish, you're good. You're good. When we have bigger trucks, we need to get the tire just in front of the yellow dish. Okay. Questions about bringing the car in, popping the hood, anything, Marcus?
I forgot what you said this was.
Okay, this is just it's a rack. Okay. It's actually called an in-ground two-in post rack, but just rack is fine. It's made by a company called Rotary. They're kind of the cat's meow in the automotive world for racks. Those pole racks outside, they're kind of a bummer because you got a big pole here and you open the door, it's kind of in the way. But those cost $3,000 to $4,000. These are $30,000. Well, sorry, this isn't that much. I think this is about close to 20, and then with the construction, it cost about 30 because they had to cut it all out. They had a backhoe in here and the whole bit. Another question? Okay. By the way, we're out of here at 9:20. Am I correct? Yeah. Okay. 9:20. By the way, I did put the new schedule up here above the sink. So there's our schedule. It says, yeah, 9:20. Okay. Do want to just remind you of just kind of an operational thing. Again, I think you all know now that when you go into the hallway, the first door on the right is the bathroom. If you need the bathroom when I'm operating class, if you have to go, don't just go, Mr. You don't even have to say anything, just like that. And I know that means you need the bathroom, and you can go. I'm not going to keep you from going, but please don't just walk out, etc. Okay. So one last thing, kind of operational, and that is whenever we work on a car, driver's window down, keys on the dash. And I know I said that on Monday, but I'm reminding you, this is so we don't lock the keys in the car. I don't need any more practice with my Slim Jim. I know how to do it, okay? I just don't want to, it's just not what we're here to do necessarily. The keys on the dash so we can always see them, so we don't lose them, so we don't wonder where they are. Now I'm switching gears, automotive pun intended, to vehicle ID. So first, in the door jamb is where you have that VIN identification plate. Can you see it on the screen there? I can't see the screen. Where am I? Okay, can you all see this plate here? Okay, it says right there 12-06. Yeah, 12-06. So this is a December of 2006. If it's made after September, this is a 2007. There's the VIN number, the 17-digit alphanumeric number. That's also the VIN number on this tag and on this tag. They've got several. So don't do what a lot of students do, and they come and they say, hey, Mr. L, what year is that car? I'm just going to look at you and just point. You go tell me what year it is. I know sometimes people say, Mr. L, do you know what? Yeah, I don't have this automotive database necessarily in my head. So so that's the VIN number. The VIN number, or vehicle identification number, is, remember, the fingerprint. Here it is in the engine. There it is, right there, 17-digit. By the way, I happen to know something about Japanese cars. If the VIN number starts with a J, the car was actually assembled in Japan. If it starts with a 1, it was assembled in the U.S. Some Toyotas like that. Most people want the Japanese assembled ones, but we won't talk about why. They're much better. Anyways, or no, I don't know if they're much better, but they're sometimes better. This sticker under the hood here, if you'll please you guys, can you get a look at the sticker on the screen? So what this sticker says, Fuji Heavy Industries Ltd. Japan. Up at the top, it says test group. So it gives a test group there. That's for emissions. Sorry, I'm trying to hold it still. It says this vehicle conforms to U.S. EPA, that's Environmental Protection Agency, Tier 2 regulations applicable to gasoline-fueled 2007 model year vehicles and California regulations applicable to 07 model year LEV2 and LEV passenger cars. Tier just means level. LEV is low emission vehicle. So the federal government and the California state government have all kinds of emissions ratings for cars. And they have emissions ratings because we're very concerned about keeping the environment clean. And car companies get credits if their cars meet certain levels of low emission vehicle engines, okay? Well, we could talk about more, but that's really more for another class. So this sticker says, this is the one thing that's super important here for you guys. It says 2007 model year. The date and the manufacturer in the door was 12/06. What size engine is this? Well, it's on here, but it's a little bit difficult for you to necessarily see. Oh, there it is. 2.5 liter SFI. 2.5 liter, and we haven't talked about this yet. We're going to be talking about this soon. And that is what the liters refer to. It's the combined cylinder volume of all the 4 cylinders. Okay? It's got 2.5 liters. As opposed to, this is a 360 cubic inch engine. Well, that's about 5.8 liters. This is 2.5. That's a 2-liter Toyota. That's a 3-liter V6 Toyota. The far one is a 2-liter 4-cylinder Toyota. So Toyotas definitely are winning the race in here, 3-2. Okay, here we go. So come on closer, you guys, so you can see. I'll keep the camera going so that get rid of this. I'm going to keep the camera going so we can look. So I want you all to be able to see here and here if you can. This is a Subaru engine. Subarus are unusual in the automotive industry. There are 2 versions of Subaru engines, 4-cylinder and 6. You won't see many 6-cylinder Subaru engines. They're around, but you can actually buy an Outback with a 6-cylinder, but there's just not that many of them. So this is what we call a horizontally opposed 4-cylinder. 2 cylinders go flat this way, 2 cylinders go flat that way. So the engine's only about this thick, but it's about this wide. And this is, I'm at one end of the engine there and one end there, okay? Most engines are either 4 cylinders straight up, 6 cylinders straight up, or 6 cylinders in a V shape or 8 cylinders in a V shape. So this is a V8 engine, 4 and 4, and we'll talk about it more. This one's horizontally opposed 4. This one's 1-2 inline 4, but it's transverse mounted, which means sideways across the front. The 2000 Toyota Camry is a 6-cylinder transverse mounted, 3 cylinders on each side going like this. Front of the engine is to the passenger side. The RAV4 is an inline 4-cylinder like this one with the front of the engine to the passenger side. Transverse mounted, transverse mounted, transverse mounted, longitudinal, longitudinal. That means the crankshaft is, the front of the crank's at the front, that's longitudinal. So this one, the crankshaft is down here. I'm putting my hand right here. Can you see the pulling right here? Sorry, let me get the camera right there where I'm pointing. You kind of see, yeah, did you see that brown pulley? That's bolted to the front of the crankshaft. Okay. A little more orientation, and then we're going to start checking things. So if you know nothing about cars, look at the screen. Can you see anything that looks symmetrical? Look at the screen kind of carefully. Kind of. This aluminum silvery pipe, one pipe there, one pipe there, one pipe here, one pipe here. It's not entirely symmetrical, but at least there's 2 going this way, 2 going that way. What am I trying to show you? You can kind of figure out what's under the hood. Hey, can we stop for a moment? I love to learn how things work. I've got environmental ADD like crazy. I go on a walk and I'm like, check that out, look at that, whoa, look at that. All right, that's cool. I just love to figure out how things work. I'm fascinated by our bodies, how our anatomy works. I'm fascinated how mechanical systems like this work. So if you think about this car, it's got mechanical systems, metal parts working together. It has hydraulic systems. Hydraulic is a liquid system. The brakes are hydraulics. When you push the pedal, you're pushing a piston, a little, not an engine piston, but a little round piston that moves fluid down to each wheel. That's a hydraulic system. Some cars use air system, which is a pneumatic system. This is a pneumatic system. This is an air hose. It's connected through pipes out to the compressor, and we get 120 psi of air. So an air system is a pneumatic system. A liquid system is a hydraulic system. Metal moving parts, mechanical systems. Then we have electrical systems, which is a system that uses electricity to make something mechanically work. So electricity with mechanical parts, that's electrical. Then we have electronic systems. Electronic systems are systems that work with electricity, no mechanical moving parts. All the computers are electronic. By the way, let me see if I can see a computer in this guy right here real quick. I'm looking for the engine computer. It's probably in the dash. I don't see it. And now I'm looking for the ABS computer. And the ABS is right down. ABS is down here under the battery, and I can't see a computer on this car. This car for sure has about 5 computers. It probably has more. A brand new BMW has about 130 computers on board right now. It's amazing. There's so many computers on board. Okay, let's talk about, so we did a little bit with vehicle ID. Production date in the door jamb, VIN in the door jamb, VIN plate here, engine size, model year, and some other emission stuff there. Hey, there's an air conditioning sheet. This tells me that this uses HFC-134A gas in the AC system. And that's the freon or the gas that our air conditioning machine, way down there in Bay 4, underneath the gray tarp, that's what it uses. I use that machine to charge the AC on a Honda Civic as recently as yesterday. Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
So you were saying Subarus, do they only use 4 and 6?
Yep, that's it. And they're all horizontally opposed. Every single Impreza, let's just talk about them. An Impreza or a WRX, which is an Impreza too, but it's a turbocharged version. It's got a dual overhead cam. So the Imprezas, the WRX, and the STI is just a fancy version of the WRX. Outbacks, Foresters. Come on, help me out. What other Subarus? Tribeca, right? The Crossroad, or those things, which are all just variations of the Outback, aren't they? Yeah, even the Forester is just a variation of the Outback. A little more ground clearance, a little more height. Why is the Subaru Outback the state car of Maine? Anybody have? It literally is. You go to Maine, all you'll see is Subaru Outback. I'm joking. It's not the state cars, but you see a lot of them. Low center of gravity, all-wheel drive. So they're great in the ice and snow. Low center of gravity, all-wheel drive. They have the hatchback. They have a lot of utility, meaning you can put a lot of things in. They're real practical. Hey, one other thing you didn't know about Subarus. Super safe car. You know why? The stinkers are heavy. Look at this thing. Look at this little car. Who wants to guess on the weight? Just take a guess. He says 5,000.
6,000.
He just happened to know. So this car probably weighs about 3,200 pounds. That truck's probably only 45. This thing on the sticker, I think, is 4,800 pounds. It is, nope, 4,041 on a little Impreza, a 4,000 pound car. That's very heavy. If you've ever driven a Subaru and you close the doors compared to this Toyota, they're way heavier. This is a pretty safe car. And again, with low center of gravity, they don't flip. They're really safe from that standpoint. Okay, I want to go on to, let me just do some visual inspection. So again, I really want you to pay attention to the screen or here. First, it's the first time I've had the hood open. Battery hold down is not holding down, okay? It's missing a rod that goes down here and bolts down. Does it matter? Sure does. Go fast around the corner and pitch that battery. So we're going to go ahead, and he needs a battery hold down. Napa sells them. They're about 10 bucks. Battery cables are kind of corroded, but they're okay. Here's the radiator here to cool the engine. There's the radiator cap. There's the recovery tank. There's the windshield washer fluid. Engine oil dipstick. That's where we add oil. Power steering fluid. Oh, here's our problem child that is moaning. And by the way, I can tell. Can you look at the color there? That looks pretty red, doesn't it? Well, guess what? Subarus, I can't read Japanese, but the English I can read. Power steering. Look at the bottom. Use ATF Dextron as fluid to fill proper level. ATF is automatic transmission fluid. Subarus and Toyotas in particular, and some General Motors, use automatic transmission fluid, Dextron, it's called Dextron, in their power steering. What does that pink color tell you? No, it's pink, it's clean. Just the opposite, it's clean. If it was brown, I would say it's dirty. So you know what that tells me? Somebody's probably tried to cure that noise. That's what it tells me. It's probably tried to cure that noise by sucking the fluid out and putting fresh fluid in. We're going to do it, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And we probably will get to it today. I'm going to stick the cap back on just for a moment so I don't misplace it. Here's the air cleaner housing there, and we're going to take that off and take a look at it. Here's the brake fluid here, and I'm looking at the fluid, and it's just below the max level there. I think you can see it. Yeah. See the dark line when I shake it? You can see the fluid on the screen. And again, I apologize. It's hard to hold the camera still. Like, could you hold this some more? Okay, so now, more questions. Just your fine. Any questions you guys want to ask? I know we're going kind of fast, but I'm trying to cover a lot of ground. Okay? Hey guys, can we all agree something? You're out of one. Some of you know some things about cars. I can tell by our email, you know some things about cars. I can tell right away. I've done this a long time. But I have to assume that all of you know nothing, even though that's not true. So I've got, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to cover every little basis. Okay? So there's no dumb questions. Right, please? If you see something under the hood and you're like, what is that thing? Ask. Should you learn what every single thing under this hood is? Yeah. Yeah. Can I tell you what every single thing is? Yeah, I can. Would there be a couple things that I might say, oh, I'm not sure, I might have to look that up? Yeah, sometimes I got to look it up because I don't know everything about every car. But all of these hoses, etc., it actually all is super logical, though it looks to you like, what is all this plumbing and all this stuff? You go, oh, wait a second, this is that, and this is that, and this is that, and so on. Okay. Yeah, Marcus.
So, can you install a V8 onto a Subaru?
No, here's why. As far as I know, there's no V8 engine that's small enough to fit in the space constraints of this. And to give you an idea, so the weight of a modern V8 General Motors, like a 5.7 liter, let's say aluminum block, aluminum heads, they weigh about 400 pounds. Cast iron version is about 550 pounds. Aluminum is roughly 30% lighter than cast iron, but to get the same strength, you have to make the aluminum thicker. So even though it's 30% less, because it's thicker, so 550, 400 pounds. So that's probably like, he's probably like 180-ish. I'm 205. The two of us together are about 400 pounds. If we jump on this thing, it's going to go down. That engine right there, Clay and I can easily lift that engine fully assembled. Well, I shouldn't say easy. It's heavy, but we can do it. There's no way you're moving a General Motor. You're not moving a 400-pound engine, at least not by yourself. By the way we get the engines out, like I pulled one of these last summer. I pulled one of these out of my son-in-law has a WRX. He has an '07 Impreza WRX, so it's a turbocharged version. It's a dual overhead cam engine. This is a single overhead cam. I pulled it out. We have an engine hoist out back. I pulled it out, did a bunch of repairs, dropped it back in last summer, put a new clutch in it and stuff like that. Can we go to the six-cylinder? Well, the six-cylinder would probably fit in here. Not everything that you can do is legal. Some things you have to get what's called if a six-cylinder was offered in this engine, it's legal to switch it to a six-cylinder. When I say legal, I mean smog-wise. The government doesn't care that you change your engine, but the California Air Resources Board and the Environmental Protection Agency, which are arms of the government, want it to not pollute the environment. So the laws go like this. If the car could be offered with that engine, it can go in, no questions asked. If I want to put a 5.7 liter Chevrolet engine into my Subaru, I'm not saying, it would be, you'd have to do all kinds of work and structural work. I could probably get an exemption through the California Air Resources Board, but it's not easy. You have to do a bunch of stuff. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do first is do fluid inspection. And again, I'm interested in what's going on with this car. So I'm looking at the dipstick here, and I'll bring it over here to the camera. And to me, on the screen, that looks pretty dirty. I'm going to wipe the oil onto my glove. And it looks, I'm going to call it, my glove is blue, but I'm going to say the oil looks black. And I'm going to wipe this off. And you see these two dots, one here and one here. From the low dot to the top dot is 1 quart of oil. You remember that from the oil change demo if you were awake during that video. I'm going to pull it up now. Oh, this is interesting. Nice. Nice. Where's the oil? There's none on the stick until way down here. So it's at least a quart. There's a little bit down here. It's at least 1.5 quarts low. I don't know if you guys can see that in the picture, but there's no oil on the stick except right down here. So it's about 1.5 quarts low, and it's black as the night. Okay, so it's dirty. So this thing needs an oil change right now. I'm going to grab a sheet. Oh, it's getting toasty in the office. You're cold. Step in there. Let me grab it.
Did he say how much oil it was for?
So you guys, we're going to go ahead and start it. This sheet I have, a checkout sheet. I keep a blank one of these. You guys can fill this out. This is not something that I grade or something. It's for you to have a spot to record. So I'm going to put down here my son Daniel. It's a 2007. I'm going to put down 12 of 2006. It's a Subi. It's an Impreza. And it's a 2.5 liter, and it's a SOHC. It's a single overhead camshaft engine. Mileage and VIN I'll get. Oil is black and 1.5 quarts low. And you say, how do I know that? Because it's a quart from the low mark to the full mark, and it's about half that far below, maybe slightly less. Maybe it's 1.3 quarts low. Let's keep going. Let's take a look at just really quick at some other things. So I'll open it up and It needs a new battery. Hold down, I'll mark that down. The windshield washer fluid thing is empty, so it needs windshield washer fluid. The coolant recovery tank, I need a flashlight to see that. Straight in the office, straight ahead on the wall, there's 4 flashlights being charged. Those are for you to use. These are really nice rechargeable LED flashlights. They're $80 flashlights. They're no good to you without the chargers, so don't take one home. But you're all welcome to use them if you drop them. Usually they keep working. I don't want to show you, but I'm putting down in here. Can you see way down at the bottom of the bottle? I'm going down, I'm going down, Can anybody see a little blue down there? There is a little blue Subaru coolant in here way down inside. You can kind of see in there, but it's low. So I'm going to hand this to you, and I'm going to hand this to you. And I'm going to take my pen, and I'm going to write down needs battery. B plus is my abbreviation for battery. Hold down bolt. Coolant is low. Windshield washer fluid, W/W. Fluid, low. And normally I wouldn't write down all this stuff, but my son, his neighbor, had this car, and he was like having trouble with it. He said, I just want to get rid of this car. We give me. So my son gave him $700, and he's got a Subaru Impreza. Pretty nice little car. I mean, it needs some things, but anyways. So I'm checking it out for him. Okay, so there's that. So let's write down this. Power steering fluid, PS fluid, wine. I'm just going to put WHINE. It's got a wine, so we're going to go ahead and flush it. Brake fluid is full and looks kind of clean. In other words, it looks sort of light amber, so it's an okay color. Transmission fluid. Well, this is a manual transmission. The automatic transmission sticks are usually down there on the driver's side on a Subaru. Some of these have a manual transmission, or sorry, a differential dipstick down in here. This one does not. So to check the manual transmission fluid on this, we have to put it up in the air on the rack and look at it. We're going to do that right now. We're going to do one other thing. Can you hold this right here? I'm going to go ahead and pop the air cleaner housing and see if we can get a look at the air cleaner or the air filter. I'm seeing if there's another strap there. Looks like it's just those 2, if I'm not mistaken. Is there another strap down there that I'm not seeing? There's one there, and I don't see any straps here, so I should be able to pull this off. Yeah, something's got me secured here, so there must be a clip down here that I can't see, but I am not seeing a third clip. And so Mr. Al's looking like he doesn't know what he's doing. That's okay. This is kind of weird. That thing is not coming off, and I do not have. I had 2 straps, and there is no other strap here. So this, of course, this only happens when you're doing a demonstration for a class, right? So there's the one strap there. There's the other strap there. Let me try again. See if I can do it without breaking it. Okay. So I had to it's hooked on the bottom. I had to go down and unhook it. That's a little bit atypical. I mean, it's not super typical. Here's the air filter. Yeah, it's on the dirty side. It's not terrible, but it's kind of on the dirty side. I'm going to say to him, I don't necessarily think it has to be replaced, but it definitely is not brand new. So am I doing this correctly? Yes, I am. Okay, now let's see if I can get that thing hooked back on over the filter. Trying. I don't have it on right yet. Okay, can I get the flashlight down here for a second? Just hold it right there. Listen, I'm trying to hook it back on down there, and I don't feel like I have it on. I'm going to snap it for a moment. Let's see if I have it right. I do not. That feels better. And I'm going to pull on the bottom. Once I get this on, I'm going to pull on this and see if I have it snapped on correctly. This one's a pain. I'm going to have to get a big screwdriver to get that snapped back on. I can't get that snap with my hands. Like, yeah. Okay.
So it's not about the air filter. How much oil can this Subaru hold?
Most all four-cylinder cars hold about 4 quarts, except for Toyota. Toyota's smart. Toyota's like typically, well, their four-cylinders hold about 4.5 quarts, but they're V8s. Everybody else when they have a V8, they hold 5 quarts. Toyota's like 6.5 quarts, which is smart. Just saying the air filter is just okay. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap the car. And so I'm going to grab the camera and I'm going to go down underneath here and put these pads underneath. You can probably see what I'm doing on the screen. Right here on the pinch weld, as long as that pad goes there, that's perfect. Over here on this one, if I go down here, hopefully you can see on the screen, if I get this pad on this guy, that's perfect. I noticed that this pad, I'm going to screw down to about there. It's about 1/2 inch up, and this one's flat. To make it even, I'm going to unscrew this guy a half. So hopefully on the screen you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm just unthreading this to get it at the same height as the back one, about there. And then I'm going to go to the other side, do the same thing. It is okay to have those pads at a different height, front to rear, but not side to side. Because sometimes the suspension keys stay. You know why I'm doing that? Because I'll forget where I put them. So I'm going out here. Hopefully you can see where I am on the screen. I'm going to thread this out a little bit so it's equal to the others. There we go. And then lastly, hopefully I got enough cord here. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to go over here and get underneath here, thread this out like the other side. Let's see, that one's actually threaded out as equally, even though it doesn't kind of look like it because the arm is pushed in. Okay, so I've got those 4 under the lift pad points. This is a unibody car. The lift pads are on the what's called the pinch welds, where the outer body and underbody come together and they're welded together. Here we go. So you guys, once the car is lifted, now look, we're all going to do this. And you all got to do this safely. Once the car is lifted, we want to make sure we're not crushing exhaust, we're not crushing running boards. If we had running boards, you just point this way. If we had running boards, and we have these extensions here to give us clearance. This thing is racked safely, but I'm going to double check. Now I'm going to balance the car. What am I trying to do? I'm representing a 10.0 earthquake. If we have a bigger earthquake, don't worry, the building's falling around dead anyway. Don't worry about it. But if this car won't come off the rack when I bounce it like that, when it's 3 inches in the air, it's not coming off the rack when it's 8 feet in the air. Make sense? So I just have a way of checking. Now look, you guys. Some people don't have a big margin for safety. I do. I like to live. I don't particularly want to die before the time, okay? So I like it when I can test and I know it's safe. I know this car is safe to lift and be underneath. You just point to this. So we're going to go up with this green button, and up goes the car. And the little knocking sound you're hearing, those are the safety. So if everything fails, this car will not fall. It will hit one of the safeties and it won't come down any further. Okay, so did everybody hear the sound change? Just going, and then it went, Well, what happens is it hit the limits, and now the motor's trying to fight the limits of this. As soon as you hear that, let go because you don't want to hurt the motor. Okay, so you guys, the car is entirely safe for you to be underneath. Here's the pad here, and I would encourage you either to look at the screen or come on underneath. That's on the pinch weld there. That's on the pinch weld there. That's on the pinch weld there. This is a unibody car, so this floor pan is all formed into a structural shape. This thing has an engine cradle. There's one bolt there, one bolt there, and the other bolt is up under this cover here, and the other one's up here. As I look around, can I get the flashlight? Sorry, you got me. As I look at this, here's what I'm looking for. We're just doing some inspection. Can we all see all the oil on the bottom of the engine? Hey, but listen, this tube, can I get somebody to hold this right here? This bellows boot here is part of the power steering. This is the power steering rack. It's doused in oil. And there's the other one there. What does that tell me? Well, I may have a power steering fluid leak, and that may be the association to the noise we heard. The axle boots here, that one's good. This one's good. This one's good. This one's good. Christopher, no, you don't have it. Oh, you've got mine. Okay. I'll make some notes here in just a moment. By the way, there's the starter motor up there. That's the starter motor right there. Sorry, the light's not good. This is a drive axle here going out to that wheel. This is a drive axle here going out to that wheel. This has got a 2-piston floating front disc brake caliper. That's the brake right there. 2-piston floating front disc brake caliper over here. Here's the exhaust pipes here going from that side of the engine there to this side of the engine here, then through a catalytic converter, then to a resonator, and then out to a muffler. Okay. So far, the only thing I'm seeing of any interest is the oil all around the bottom of the engine and all around the bottom of the power steering. And I noticed there's oil dripping onto the exhaust right here. This thing, when it gets hot, stinks really bad. And underneath the engine, this engine is leaking oil pretty good from over here on this side of the engine. On this side of the engine, yeah, there's oil leaking over here as well. Okay, you're right. That's back on the transmission. This is the transmission here. There's the drain plug for the transmission. Where's the check and fill plug for the transmission? Where is it? Oh, this actually has a dipstick for the transmission. I didn't see it. Can you guys see that little yellow? You can see it in the screen there. Merxa, can you point to that for us, everybody? Yep, that's it. That's the little dipstick for the transmission. And the transmission on this is actually a combination of a transmission and a differential, believe it or not. There's actually a differential in the front of this transmission. They're kind of weird. All-wheel drive, so there's a drive shaft going to the back, and there's a differential back there with the 2 front axles. This thing's an all-wheel drive. Okay, let's look at the tires. You can hold this here. If you look at the tire, this thing is clearly worn on the inside tread. The outside is worn a little bit, but it's worn more on the inside tread. This one's clearly worn more on the inside than the outside. On the back, this one is really worn on the inside. Can you guys see it on the screen? This inside of this tire is really bald. The inside of this tire is significantly worn. This tire is the worst. These two are about the same. So this is what this tells me. This thing really needs 4 tires and an alignment. The tires shouldn't be completely worn out. There's still tread here, so they're not completely worn out, but this thing's had a misalignment. So inside the car, there are the stock wheels and tires. You see, these are not the stock wheels. These are aftermarket. Inside, my son has the stock wheels and tires, and he asked me to put those back on. He probably saw the tire wear on this tire where it's all bald over there. By the way, you guys, can I just give you and we only have a minute left. This is actually dangerous. The steel belts are just about to break through on this, and if this thing hits something sharp going down the road, it may pop the tire. Okay, who has questions for me right now? We just have a moment or two for